Now, next on Outside Source, we're going to learn how a global team of astronomers have announced they found what could be evidence of life elsewhere, and not on Mars, but on the much more inhospitable Venus. Here's one of the team.
The planet Venus has long been considered Earth's mysterious twin, similar in size and composition, but vastly different in its environmental conditions. For decades, Venus was shrouded in mystery, regarded as a scorching, uninhabitable world cloaked in thick clouds of sulfuric acid and crushing atmospheric pressure. Yet recently, long-hidden images captured by Soviet probes have emerged from Cold War archives, revealing strange, unexplained features that have sent shockwaves through the scientific community. These photos suggest there might be more to Venus than a barren inferno. The forgotten planet that should have been explored. Most people are familiar with Mars, the red planet that has captured the imagination of scientists, writers, and explorers for decades. Yet Venus, often called Earth's sister planet, has been largely ignored in modern planetary exploration. The reasons are clear. Venus's surface temperature reaches nearly 900 degrees Fahrenheit, or 475 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead. The atmosphere is thick with carbon dioxide and sulfuric acid clouds, creating a toxic, suffocating environment with a surface pressure roughly 90 times that of Earth, akin to being 3,000 feet underwater. During the early space race, the United States and Soviet Union divided their focus. The US set its sights primarily on Mars, seeing it as the more promising candidate for life and human exploration. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union devoted extensive resources and engineering ingenuity to exploring Venus. Between the 1960s and 1980s, the USSR launched over 30 missions to Venus under the ambitious Venera program. Venera 7 made history in 1970 by becoming the first spacecraft to land on another planet and transmit data back to Earth. This was a remarkable technical feat, but the mission lasted only 23 minutes before the probe succumbed to Venus's harsh conditions. Later missions, including Venera 9 and 10, returned the first images of Venus's surface, black and white photos showing jagged, rocky terrain under a thick orange haze. Despite the risks, the Soviet space program continued to push forward, culminating in missions such as Vega 2 in 1984 that studied the atmosphere with balloons and landers. This perseverance, even as the Soviet economy faltered, speaks to the importance they placed on Venus. But by the late 1980s, much of the world, especially Western nations, had abandoned Venus exploration, favoring Mars instead. Why? Because Venus was seen as a scientific dead end, too hostile, too dangerous, and too mysterious to justify the investment. However, the Soviets never truly stopped. Their secret obsession with Venus hints at something far more significant than just national pride or technical challenge. Could they have found something worth hiding? Something that might change our understanding of Venus and perhaps life itself? What secrets did the Soviet Union uncover on Venus that made them keep their discoveries under lock and key? The Venera program. The Venera program stands as one of the Soviet Union's greatest scientific endeavors, focused relentlessly on unlocking the mysteries of Venus. Over the course of nearly 3 decades, Soviet engineers developed increasingly sophisticated probes designed to survive the planet's extreme surface conditions. The breakthrough came with Venera 7 in 1970, which made history by becoming the first spacecraft to transmit data from the surface of another planet. Though it survived only for a brief 23 minutes, the feat was a monumental achievement for the era. The subsequent missions, Venera 13 and 14, landed in 1981 and 1982, respectively. These probes survived for over 2 hours each and sent back the first ever color images and audio recordings from Venus's surface. They also conducted chemical analyses of the soil, opening a new window into the planet's geology and atmosphere. But despite these remarkable advances, much of the data collected was shrouded in mystery. Official Soviet releases included only a few grainy photos and limited scientific data. Many images images were blurred or cropped, and entire sections of telemetry data were missing. Metadata, crucial for scientific interpretation, was absent in some cases. While NASA flooded the public with detailed mission data from its lunar landings and Mars rovers, the USSR treated the Venera data as a tightly guarded secret. Western scientists had only fragments to study, fueling speculation and conspiracy theories. Was the Soviet data simply too poor or contradictory to release? Or was there something extraordinary within that the Soviets wished to hide? The ongoing veil of secrecy and censorship surrounding the Venera missions has made it difficult to know the true story. What extraordinary information did the Venera missions capture that warranted such strict secrecy? Declassified Soviet photos. In 2023, a researcher stumbled upon a collection of Soviet-era Venus photos that had never been published. Taken by the Venera 13 and 14 landers in 1982, these images were stored on fragile film canisters in a dusty Moscow archive. The majority depicted rocky terrain under Venus's characteristic orange haze. However, some photos stood out due to curious anomalies. Several images were blurred or cropped, and strange shadows appeared where none were expected. Some frames showed patterns that looked artificially scratched out or tampered with, suggesting intentional censorship. When modern artificial intelligence techniques enhanced these photos, even stranger details emerged. Textures resembling biological structures appeared, cluster-like formations and filamentous patterns that did not resemble known geological features. Additionally, there were faint signs of gas emissions escaping from surface cracks, visually resembling phosphine gas, which on Earth is mostly produced by anaerobic microbes. For many decades, the idea of life on Venus was dismissed due to its hostile environment, yet these newly enhanced images appear to indicate possible biological activity captured by Soviet probes over 40 years ago. The secrecy surrounding these photos begs the question: why were these images suppressed? Could these declassified photos be the first proof of life beyond Earth, hidden away for decades? The phosphine puzzle. Venus has often been dubbed Earth's twin because of its similar size and mass. However, its surface environment is incredibly hostile, with surface temperatures reaching nearly 900 degrees Fahrenheit and crushing atmospheric pressure almost 100 times that of Earth. Its clouds are composed primarily of sulfuric acid, making it seemingly inhospitable for life as we know it. This view changed dramatically in 2020 when a team of astronomers led by Jane Greaves at Cardiff University detected phosphine gas in the upper atmosphere of Venus. On Earth, phosphine is primarily produced by microbes living in oxygen-deprived environments. The discovery of phosphine raised the tantalizing possibility of microbial life in the Venusian clouds. Skeptics suggested the detection might be a measurement error or caused by unknown chemical processes. However, subsequent studies using the Atacama Large Millimeter Submillimeter Array in Chile confirmed the presence and persistence of phosphine in the atmosphere. This discovery transformed Venus from a scientifically ignored inferno to a prime candidate for extraterrestrial life. The recently declassified Soviet photos add a striking new piece to this puzzle. The images show unusual haze near the surface, which, when correlated with spectral data from the Venera missions, aligns with signatures of phosphine. This suggests that the Soviets may have accidentally captured evidence of life on Venus decades ago, but suppressed or discarded the findings. Is phosphine the first clear chemical signature of life beyond Earth, and was it captured secretly by the Soviets decades ago? Why were these discoveries hidden? The Soviet Union's space program was marked by an intense atmosphere of secrecy, born out of Cold War rivalries and the desire to maintain technological superiority over the West. Unlike NASA, which widely publicized its achievements from the Apollo missions to the Mars rovers, the Soviets treated even peaceful scientific discoveries as classified state assets. This cloak of secrecy enveloped the Venera program, making it difficult for the global scientific community to access or verify many findings. One might ask why the USSR would withhold data from the public and even from international scientific circles. Some speculate this was mere Cold War paranoia, an attempt to keep any advantage under wraps. Others suggest the data was too complex or ambiguous to share without risking embarrassment or misinterpretation, but the emerging evidence hints at something deeper, that the Soviets might have uncovered phenomena on Venus that challenged established scientific dogma and potentially indicated life in an environment long considered utterly inhospitable. Documents unearthed alongside the photos reveal internal memos advising against the release of certain images due to their inconsistent spectral data and unexplained surface geometry. These bureaucratic decisions effectively suppressed controversial findings, preventing public debate or further international research. The political climate of the time did not favor transparency, especially when discoveries could upend accepted scientific theories or raise existential questions. Furthermore, revealing potential signs of extraterrestrial life could have triggered public panic or geopolitical tensions amid the Cold War's fragile balance. The secrecy surrounding Venusian data persisted long after the Soviet Union collapsed. Only in recent years, with the advent of digital archiving and data declassification, have these long-hidden troves come to light. Their contents reignite questions about the true nature of Venus and the possibility that humanity has overlooked crucial signs of life for decades. What could be so controversial about life on Venus that it warranted decades of silence and suppression? Modern technology sheds new light on old data. Technology has advanced at an unprecedented pace since the 1980s. The very instruments that once struggled to capture faint images on Venus can now be vastly enhanced through digital means, artificial intelligence, and spectral analysis. Scientists revisiting the Soviet Venus data applied modern AI algorithms to reconstruct blurred or damaged photos, sharpen details, and extract subtle patterns previously invisible to the human eye. The results were astonishing. Structures and textures emerged, resembling possible biological colonies or unusual geological features that defy known planetary processes. Moreover, spectral data aligned suspiciously well with phosphine signatures, strengthening the argument that the Soviet probes had inadvertently captured chemical evidence of life well before contemporary discoveries. This retrospective reanalysis has opened a window to a lost era of exploration. The mystery deepens when multiple frames reveal shifting shadows or shapes inconsistent with static rock formations. Such movement could imply active geological phenomena, or, more provocatively, life forms capable of change or locomotion. The increasing accessibility of advanced computational tools allows independent researchers worldwide to revisit these archives. Unlike during the Cold War, scientific data is no longer the exclusive domain of superpowers, but a collective asset for humanity's quest for knowledge. Could revisiting decades-old data with modern tools finally confirm life on Venus and rewrite history? The geopolitical ripples of a Venusian revelation. The revelation that life could exist on Venus is not just a scientific breakthrough. It has the potential to shift geopolitical dynamics in profound ways. Mongolia and other nations have historically grappled with territorial and cultural heritage disputes over ancient sites. Similarly, the discovery of life or evidence of advanced unknown phenomena on Venus forces spacefaring nations into delicate negotiations over planetary protection, research rights, and scientific leadership. Russia, as the successor to the Soviet Union, holds a unique position. It possesses archives and data hidden for decades, giving it a potential advantage in claiming priority on this groundbreaking discovery. A renewed Venus exploration program would allow Russia to reclaim scientific prestige, reviving national pride in its space program. Meanwhile, Western powers, including the United States, European Union, and emerging space nations like India and China, are also ramping up plans to explore Venus with new missions. These efforts will inevitably intersect with complex questions of international law, sovereignty in space, and ethical considerations regarding contamination and preservation. Private companies in the aerospace sector will likely jump into the fray, seeking to pioneer new technologies for atmospheric probes, robotic landers, and even human missions. Commercial interests could complicate efforts for international cooperation and equitable sharing of scientific benefits. The United Nations, UNESCO, and other global bodies may be called upon to mediate agreements and set standards to prevent conflict and ensure responsible stewardship of this newly discovered celestial environment. How will the discovery of life on Venus reshape international space policy and global power balances? Philosophical and ethical questions arise. Beyond the geopolitical and scientific excitement lies a complex web of ethical and philosophical questions. What are the moral responsibilities of humanity when encountering life beyond Earth? Does this newfound evidence of possible life on Venus require a redefinition of our place in the cosmos? The possibility of life in such a hostile environment challenges human notions of habitability and survival. It invites us to reconsider what forms life might take and how adaptable it can be. More immediately, concerns arise over planetary protection. Introducing Earth microbes to Venus by accident could irreversibly damage an indigenous ecosystem if one exists. Conversely, bringing samples back could pose unknown risks to Earth's biosphere. Should we prioritize scientific discovery at all costs, or do we owe a duty of care to other worlds? These questions have no easy answers, but will demand global dialogue and cooperation. Public interest will grow, and with it, social and political debates about the implications of discovering extraterrestrial life. The discovery could inspire a new era of exploration or ignite fears of the unknown. What ethical boundaries must humanity navigate as we confront the possibility of life beyond Earth? The scientific community's shock and cautious optimism. When news of the Soviet Venus photos and potential biosignatures resurfaced, the global scientific community reacted with a mixture of astonishment, skepticism, and cautious excitement. For decades, Venus was largely dismissed as a barren, hostile world incapable of supporting life. This assumption shaped research priorities and funding decisions worldwide. To suddenly face credible evidence that challenges this consensus forces scientists to reconsider fundamental planetary science theories. Leading institutions such as NASA, the European Space Agency, and Roscosmos initiated rapid reviews of their Venus-related programs. Discussions around Venus shifted from curiosity about geology to urgent questions about biology and atmospheric chemistry. Many researchers expressed hope that renewed missions would finally provide definitive answers to the phosphine puzzle and confirm or refute the possibility of life. However, the skepticism was equally strong. Critics warned about the limitations of interpreting old Soviet data, emphasizing the challenges of image distortion, instrumental error, and environmental interference. Some voiced concerns about confirmation bias, seeing patterns where none exist, and cautioned against sensationalism. The debate highlights a healthy scientific process, where extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Yet, the willingness to revisit old data with new tools and perspectives reflects the evolving nature of science. It reminds us that no scientific theory is immutable, and that discovery often lies in revisiting what was once dismissed. One particularly exciting aspect of this renewed interest is the cross-disciplinary collaboration it has fostered. Planetary scientists, biologists, chemists, AI experts, and even historians have joined forces to decode the Venus mystery. This broad cooperation is expected to accelerate breakthroughs and expand humanity's understanding of life's possibilities. Could Venus's long-dismissed mysteries redefine life itself, and what new frontiers will this open in science? Racing back to the forgotten planet. Following these revelations, space agencies worldwide are fast-tracking new Venus exploration missions. NASA's Veritas mission, originally planned to map Venus's geology, is being reconfigured to include instruments capable of detecting biological and chemical signatures. The mission aims to launch within the next decade, equipped with advanced radar and spectroscopy systems designed to penetrate the dense Venusian atmosphere. The European Space Agency is similarly shifting priorities for its Envision orbiter. While Envision was intended to study Venus's volcanic activity and surface changes, its scientific payload is being augmented to seek phosphine and other biomarkers in unprecedented detail. India's Indian Space Research Organization, which previously announced the Shukrayan orbiter, has expressed interest in accelerating its Venus program to capitalize on the growing scientific momentum. Their mission could provide critical complementary data to NASA and ESA efforts. Even private companies are eyeing Venus. With rapid advances in miniaturized sensors and AI-driven data analysis, commercial ventures propose atmospheric drones and autonomous landers capable of enduring Venus's harsh environment. These technologies promise more flexible and cost-effective ways to explore the planet than traditional massive spacecraft. Yet these missions come with considerable challenges. Venus's crushing pressure, extreme temperatures, and corrosive clouds require pioneering engineering solutions. Designing landers that can operate for extended periods and return high-quality data will test the limits of current technology. As humanity prepares to return to Venus, what technologies will conquer the planet's extreme conditions, and what secrets will they uncover? Public fascination and the rise of space mythology. The public's imagination has been captivated by the story of Venus. Like few other planetary tales, the recent revelations stirred a surge of interest, fueling debates on social media, inspiring viral videos, and sparking a new wave of science fiction and documentaries. This renewed fascination taps into humanity's perennial quest to understand whether we are alone in the universe. Venus, once a distant and hostile world, now occupies center stage as a potential cradle of life, or at least a testament to life's resilience. Alongside scientific discussion, myth and speculation flourish. Online communities speculate about hidden alien civilizations beneath Venus's clouds, or secret Soviet cover-ups of extraterrestrial encounters. These ideas, while speculative, highlight society's blend of hope, fear, and curiosity about the cosmos. This phenomenon reflects how space exploration has transcended science, becoming a cultural and philosophical arena. The discovery, or even the possibility of life beyond Earth, challenges worldviews, inspires creativity, and prompts existential reflection. Educational initiatives and public outreach programs have ramped up, aiming to leverage this moment to promote STEM learning and space literacy. Planetariums, museums, and science centers worldwide have launched exhibits centered on Venus, its mysterious atmosphere, and the quest for life. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Venus and the Soviet secrets, check out our other videos for more space mysteries. Don't forget to comment your thoughts below.